What just dropped on Kickstarter this week, what's ending soon, and what crowdfunding games are coming out next week? Let's talk about it right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is my Kickstarter Roundup series where I talk about games that are ending soon, that just launched, and that are coming out next week. And as always, if there's a game that you guys want me to cover, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys want to see more types of videos like this, make sure you absolutely destroy that like button because it really helps the channel out a lot. Now, let's talk about games that are ending soon. Starting off, let's talk about Age of Rome. Now, I actually had a lot of fun playing this game. If you haven't seen my gameplay video, I highly recommend to check it out. Basically, Age of Rome is a worker placement game that has set collection, area control, and there's a lot of strategy involved with each move that you make. I want to start off by saying that I've heard a lot of people complain how the characters that you play as only kind of has one unique kind of strategy, and I do agree that that scheme ability does drive players to kind of play in that type of strategy. However, that's not the only way to win the game though. You don't always have to play your scheme ability to form some type of strategy. I find that the strategy really comes into your quest cards, and at the 6th, 7th, and 8th round, that really determines what buildings you're getting and what third building you're about to build. I find if you lean more into whatever third building that you build and you get that medal, that is probably the better way to go. For example, if you get the trade medal, then you probably want to pick up more trade cards because that allows you to collect sets a lot easier, and those can give you a lot of points at the end of the game. Or if you get the Pantheon medal, that will change victory points drastically, as you don't have to spend 4 money to gain a victory point, you can only spend 3. Now this was a really good strategy that worked out for my wife in our gameplay video. I won't spoil who won because I highly recommend to check it out, but she got a lot of points just based off getting that medal. So there's tons of ways to play this game, not just based on your character. I do hope that helps address some of the issues I feel like some people had with this game. I also had a comment where someone was worried that the building tiles would move a lot when the board rotates, and I'd never really experienced that issue. However, I did have an issue about the population tracker slightly rotating a bit every time the game board rotates. So I do recommend when you play this game, when it comes to income phase, I would count my buildings and the province to make sure that population tracker is right, because we didn't always remember to increase it during the building phase. So personally for me, I am backing this one. I really enjoyed it. I do feel like the price is a little bit high, but this is a deluxe game from a first-time publisher. So if you want to support them, definitely check this one out. There's been a lot of unlocked stretch goals to give this game even more replayability. Next up, we have Mercurial. Over 250,000 raised. This is a card and dice manipulation, engine building, spellcrafting game where you play as powerful mages, spend mana, and use your special abilities to gain points. The game is semi-complex. You need to cast spells and find different combos, collect gems, and roll your dice in order to win. This game looks beautiful, has some amazing dice, and the price point isn't too bad. I recommend probably picking up the deluxe edition because this game looks like it would be a really good deluxe game. Plus, it's probably the only time you can get it during Kickstarter. This one's actually ending also pretty soon. You have a few days left, but check it out down below. Dead by Daylight, a 3 to 5 player horror survival one versus many board game that is based off the video game. One player is playing as the hunter, and the other players are moving around the board, performing different actions and trying to turn on the generators. Now, if you're a fan of the video game, then I definitely think you're gonna enjoy this tabletop experience. I feel like the company did a good enough job applying those video game elements into this board game. Overall, I don't think this game is too complex, so even if you're new to board games, I feel like you can pick this game up and understand it very easily. This is a one versus many game, so keep that in mind. I'm personally not a fan of those because it always feels like the player that owns the game is always playing as that one character that plays as the villain or the hunter, however you look at it. If you're somebody that's backing the standard pledge, I would personally wait to retail because you're going to be saving on that shipping price. And I must say that collector edition pledge is probably the best way to go because that's going to give you a lot of replayability based on how much content you're going to be getting with that. This one definitely is going to be a popular game for sure. So if this game sounds right for you, check it out before it ends on April 21st. Now moving on to games that just launched, starting with the DC deck building game, the 10th anniversary. Now if you're a DC fan or a deck building fan, I highly recommend to check this one out. Play as heroes or villains depending on what expansion you pick up, and each character has their own special powers and starting deck of 10 cards. The goal of the game is to use your cards to create power and defeat villains and gain new equipment cards. It's a blast to play. The only real question left is to decide what pledge is right for you. Depending on how much content you want for this game will determine what pledge you should pledge at, or depending on how much DC content you own already. Now there's enough content in that Injustice for All pledge for you to enjoy, and depending on how much you're going to play this game, that might be enough for you. But if you're looking for even more content and to get some of the original sets, then I definitely would recommend picking up that Welcome to the Multiverse pledge. That's going to get you tons of content. I don't think you need to fully go all in and get everything for this game, as there's a lot of content out there. This game will be in retail, so keep that in mind if you feel like you're going to be missing out on any content. The only thing that you're really going to be missing out on are those Kickstarter exclusive box covers, which they're cool but not necessarily needed to enjoy the game. Next up, over on Gamefound, we have Last Light. This is a fast-paced 4X game that's being published by Gray Fox Games. Players are taking turns using different action cards simultaneously, exploring planets and mining for resources. It is a race to gather the most amount of light. The first player to gather 20 light wins the game. It is a space 4X game that plays under an hour. If that sounds interesting to you, there's a link down below. The Dark Quarter, a cooperative app-driven narration deduction game for 1 to 4 players. I did a whole review for this game. I highly recommend to check it out in the link down below. I did feel like the gameplay was a little light on the mechanics side because all you're doing is rolling dice and scanning cards. However, the story really pulls you in, and that's why I really want to back this game. I'm only backing at the rookie pledge because I feel like the value in getting that extra expansion is worth it. However, it is not a Kickstarter exclusive expansion, meaning that you're going to be able to pick up this expansion if you want later on Lucky Duck's website, if you decide to wait to retail and not pick up that pledge. I don't think players will need the miniature set for this game because you're only going to be interacting with those characters a handful of times with those NPC characters. Other than that, I'm excited to see what Lucky Duck does next. They're always pushing the envelope when it comes to app-driven games. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are backing this one or if you're going to wait to retail. Next up, we have Paradox Initiative. Collect space-time strands from across the multiverse. There are 2 phases each round. A wormhole phase where you collect cards from the wormhole to gain points later in the game. Each card has a time limit until they are removed from your board, and you need to collect the required resources in order to complete the cards and gain your points. Some cards are different than others, like the Nexus cards, where you need to rearrange your Nexus tokens in a way to complete that card to earn points. Next is the Nexus phase, where you're moving around tokens in your Nexus to try to gain resources to complete those cards. You need to complete a row or a column of 4 of the same color tokens in order to gain that resource. Now, what's really cool about this one is that there's also a multiverse planet board where it can affect scoring in the game. It looks like it's a lot of fun to play, high strategy involved, simple mechanics. Check this one out if it sounds interesting to you. Now let's move on to games that are launching on Gamefound next week. Bedevilled Carnival, a 2 to 4 player horror resource management game where each character has the goal of collecting the most amount of joy markers and souvenirs to be risen from the grave and heading to this theme park to enjoy crazy attractions. If you like carnival games with a horror twist and resource management, then I think this one might be for you. I've been keeping my eye on this one for a while, so I'm very excited to see this one on Gamefound. I'll cover it more next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We also have the Great Wall reprint by Awakening Realms. If you missed the first campaign or you're looking to pick up some extra goodies, check this one out. We also have Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies coming, Lawyer Up Season 2, and Assault on Doomrock Ultimate Edition, all launching on Gamefound, and I talk more about those games in this video right here, so make sure you check that one out right now, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.